Hold on to your butts.
Let's get ready to
ramble.
What's up, my fellow geeks? Welcome to another ramble of geek stuff. You are listening to the Rambling Geek podcast, and I am your host, Mike, along with your other host, Brian.
Hi.
Hey, man, how's it going?
It's good. It's getting closer to Christmas, hanging out for a break and a chance to sit down and maybe watch and binge a few things or just not be at work.
Yeah, have you got a bit of time off?
Yeah, about 3 weeks over Christmas, so really looking forward to that. Long year.
Yeah, it has been, hasn't it? Man,
crazy.
Don't think there's anyone who'll argue that one.
No, I reckon.
Yeah, it's not been a good one. But, hey, there's good stuff that's happened anyway, and good geek stuff coming. And speaking of Christmas, what a Christmas, because they just announced Wonder Woman 84 is coming straight to HBO Max at the same time it's coming to movie theaters.
I knew you'd be buzzing over that, Wonder Woman fan that you are.
Oh, man, I am so happy with that. I was a lot happier when the article said any country that doesn't have HBO Max will be getting it in theaters on the 16th of December, until I went to the movie theater website and wrong. We're getting it on Boxing Day, 26th still.
Way to pull the rug out from under you.
Oh, man, it just sort of coincided nicely with my birthday and couldn't ask for a better movie. Wonder Woman's my jam, so that would have been really cool.
Even I'm looking forward to that. Not a fan of more recent DC efforts, but I really enjoyed the first Wonder Woman. Yeah, can I call it the Snyderverse? I'm allowed to do that. Yeah. Wonder Woman being the exception, to the DC run, and then I'm genuinely keen to see how this one goes. Not least to figure out how they bring Steve Trevor back, but anyway, that will be revealed.
Yeah, I think that's the question on everyone's mind. But my only concern about it really is Cheetah and how she's going to look, because DC doesn't have a very good track record with some of their interpretations of characters.
No, hello Doomsday.
Hello, Doomsday, yeah. Goodbye Doomsday.
Goodbye Doomsday. Yes.
Jesus, that was bad.
Exactly.
So I don't know. It looks like, I don't know. Have you watched the trailer?
I have. Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like they're going with full cheetah, hybrid human cheetah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because I was wondering if they would go that route or if they'd go the classic person in a cheetah suit.
The kind of Super Friends-ish version. Yeah. I have, as always, you know me, I've got the George Perez. Everything from the Wonder Woman universe in my head is his version of it. And he did a fantastic cheetah. And saying that I had his Wonder Woman as the image of Wonder Woman in my head, and Gal Gadot nailed it. Great.
Nice. Good.
Hoping that, I figured you'd be relieved. Hey, hoping that they can, exceed our expectations, or at least kind of meet them, and give us a really good cheetah, because that's what it really wants, I think, this time around in this movie, is a proper Wonder Woman villain and a real threat.
Yeah, it was a bit of a weird choice. Well, it was a weird choice, number one, to set it in World War I, first of all. I wasn't over the moon about that, because it should be World War II. Anyway.
Agreed.
That's, personal opinion, but also the bad guy, it wasn't anyone huge. I guess it fit to the story though, so that's fine. But can you even remember the villain? It's pretty forgettable.
Pretty forgettable. I think it's almost the opposite of what they've tended to do in a lot of their movies, and go big right out of the gate.
I wasn't even talking about Ares. See, I completely forgot about that. I was talking about...
but even then, it still doesn't feel like a massive villain though. It's like, okay, first movie out, let's go Darkseid. And you go too big too early for the movies without going down that road, as opposed to Marvel, which built to the big bad.
Yeah.
And I know that her rogues gallery is it's more limited. It's not Batman's. So there's not a great deal to choose from, but
yeah, it's sort of a problem with DC. Only Flash and Batman really have a decent, deep rogues gallery. Even Superman doesn't.
No, he's got a lot that really worked in the comics, but some of them are really, really hard to translate, I think, into the movies.
Yeah, well, they're always going to use Lex Luthor. That's just it's a shame, because you could use Metallo.
You could use Metallo. You can go Brainiac.
Brainiac would be a good one.
The cartoons have done it to varying degrees of quality, I suppose is the word. Yeah, it's some of them. I think Batman's they go better on the screen. The Flash, you can do some pretty cool stuff with, on TV, movie, or whatever. But yeah, I think Wonder Woman struggles a little bit. It's not quite the same.
Yeah, that is going to be a bit of a trick when you try to develop more and more movies. Cheetah's probably the most well-known.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
So using her in number 2, then you're sort of done, depending on how they end the movie.
Well, yeah.
I guess you can go with all the Greek god stuff.
Yeah.
Again, you've already used Ares up in the first movie.
Yeah, and that was the thing of that too, which surprised me when they announced Ares for the first one. It's like, that's a really big one to start with.
Yeah, there's no time to build it up with the mythology or anything, just jump straight in.
Yeah, I mean, they could have done what they did, again, admittedly, in the comics way back when, and go through that sort of whole Greek pantheon type thing, and, you meet Zeus and meet Hera and all of these kinds of things and build up the world. But I guess you've only got 2 hours and you want to hit it really quickly. Once you've gone Ares and then Cheetah, you haven't got, even just trying to think of them off the top of my head, at least from the era that I know of Wonder Woman, you go sort of Silver Swan. And again, a whole movie out of Silver Swan? Probably not.
No.
A little difficult.
Although one could have argued, could you get a whole movie out of Black Widow when that all began? And I think they've, again, like you said, Marvel takes its time.
Yeah.
Probably a bit too long with Black Widow, but
true.
You build
Agreed.
it up. And
my biggest disappointment of movies not being released this year, if I'm honest, was Black Widow. I was hanging out for that movie. Huge fan of the character.
No new MCU in 2020 at all.
Yeah. None. It's just broke a run. So
broke a great run.
Great run. But yeah, you're right. It's the whole development of character in slow burns and in a bigger environment, I suppose. And so you kind of invested, and then it sets the scene for a bigger story. You could do a Hawkeye. Technically, I think you could do a Hawkeye story now, having built some backstory and some other things. Maybe they'll go back and tell us what happened in Budapest, if they haven't done it in a comic somewhere.
Or in the Black Widow movie.
Yeah. Personally, I don't think they should. I think they should just let that lie and let it be a thing that you just don't know about.
Absolutely.
But anyway, yeah, it's that kind of wham bam approach where, right, you've got 2 hours, tell a full story, go, and then set the next one up. And that's tough.
Yeah.
Difficult thing to do.
Yeah, but I guess a lot of the Marvel heroes don't have big, deep rogues galleries either, and they've managed to do something. I mean, look at Thor; it's Loki every time.
Yeah,
and it still works. Nobody cares. Nobody complains because Tom Hiddleston knocks it out the park every single time, and everyone loves that character.
Yeah, and your expectation is different, isn't it? Tom Hiddleston is great. It's my favorite MCU character is Loki by a long chalk. I love those movies. Yeah, I think he's definitely my favorite character. He's so much fun. Yeah,
you're not a fan of Ragnarok, though, are you?
No. I think for lots of different reasons. Not least of which they get rid of him quite early. So they get rid of him at any rate. So, and I don't like it.
I'm sure we'll get him back. I don't think he'll be gone forever. It's Loki. He dies all the time.
Well, Infinity War. All sorts of things happening with time and disappearing and using Infinity Stones and all that kind of thing. I mean, who knows how that's going to work out? People have tried to figure it out with timelines and stuff. I saw one online the other day, which was quite a clever run through of the timeline originally, and then after all the changes at the end, and it hurt my brain, but it was pretty fun for all that. So,
yeah, see, the MCU's got a high risk factor now of getting very muddy, like X-Men did.
Yeah.
It, however, has someone steering the boat, so
it does.
Maybe
it does that.
Less risk in that, factoring that in. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Doctor Strange sort of opens it all up with the multiverse and Spider-Man as well.
Yeah, exactly. And it's how the changes run through, as opposed to, and again, just to DC bash a little bit, though I don't really mean to, it's the opposite of a Flashpoint, because Flashpoint, or even the way that they did that within the Flash TV series, it was Barry goes back in time or changes things, and there's all of these things just ripple out immediately into things like Arrow, which I didn't like. It seemed just very almost like a rushed thing to do.
Yeah, it sort of messed with the timeline throughout all the shows. And
yeah. It's like everybody knows it because they've read it in the comics, and we have to do it, and then think about afterwards what the consequences are going to be and how things are going to change. And I thought it was muddy was a good word that you used before, and I think Marvel's built up a little bit more of a faith, if you like, that they know what they're doing. They get much more leeway. I think they do, from me anyway, for what it's worth.
Yeah, they do, and they don't have a whole lot of bad movies, really. If you look at the overall catalogue,
no,
there's none I particularly hate. There's some that are lower on the scale than others.
Yeah, there are ones that I dislike, and you know that. There's a very small handful of those, but I would never turn around and say, hated that movie. Absolutely not.
See, the ones that are low on my MCU list are not the ones that seem to be low on most other people's list. Like, I don't mind Iron Man 3. And
me too.
Don't mind Iron Man 2. That was my least favorite for quite a while, though. But I don't know, like my top movies seem to sort of correlate with everybody. But my bottom picks probably don't. So, yeah, for me, like Guardians of the Galaxy 2, way down low on the list.
Completely agree.
I do, more than you, like the first one, but the second one I thought was a bit too much of the same.
Yeah, it was the same movie made again, turned up to 11.
Yeah, whereas where Ant-Man and Doctor Strange were remakes of Iron Man, I didn't mind that so much because there was still enough difference.
And they're fun in their own way. And Ant-Man's just a fun movie.
Oh, it is, both of them.
Very much so, yeah.
Yeah, that was, I remember when they first announced that it was down between Paul Rudd and Joseph Gordon-Levitt for that role.
Yeah.
And I love both of those dudes so much. But I was always just sitting there going, please be Paul Rudd, please be Paul Rudd. It has to be.
You and the rest of the world, I reckon, yeah.
Oh, seriously.
Yeah.
That dude, man. Like, everyone talks about how there's certain actors who are the perfect casting for these characters. So Robert Downey Jr. is Tony Stark, right? No one else can now come in and do
hands
that.
down.
Yeah. Chris Evans as well for Captain America.
Captain America, completely.
Yeah, and Benedict Cumberbatch is a great Doctor Strange.
He's a terrific Strange, yeah, for sure.
And now I forgot what my point was. Who we were talking about?
Mr. Paul Rudd, the Ant-Man himself.
Paul Rudd, yeah. See? And he's not even the original Ant-Man, but he plays Scott Lang, and I wouldn't want anyone else playing that role now. It's fantastic.
Yeah, it's one of those ones that really it's sort of, and he wasn't what I expected from how you would pitch Ant-Man, because it's not the serious tone. It's a fun movie. It's a funny movie.
Yep.
And it completely matches that. If the tone had been different, and you look at it and go, I don't think Paul Rudd, potentially blasphemy as it might have been the right person for it. It's all you match it to how you're playing. I mean, Robert Downey Jr., that version of Tony Stark, who else could do it?
No one.
Yeah, it can't be done. Yeah,
no.
He's a D'Onofrio Kingpin, is what he is.
Oh, that's another one.
Yeah, you and I, we've been down this road before, and the one thing over all these years that we've agreed on probably the most is D'Onofrio Kingpin.
There's anybody listening who disagrees with that statement, sorry, you're wrong.
Yeah, you're wrong.
That is probably one of the single best superhero casting or comic book character castings ever. It is fantastic. He looks the part. The way he brings life to that character in Daredevil is just, you want to see him on the screen all the time.
You do. He's frightening.
Yeah.
He's a frightening Kingpin.
Yeah, because he's so calm and put together half the time. But once he explodes, man.
And when he goes, it just goes off, absolutely.
Yeah,
it's a weird comparison. You see him like in the Spider-Man game, which is a great game. Yeah, the PS4 game. And that's a comic book Kingpin. And, it's all muscle and menace, and it's just kind of, just anger. But D'Onofrio, it's you can see it bubbling. It's always there. You say even when he's calm, having seen him just go off before you look at it and go, at some point, someone's going to get hurt.
Yeah, it's a powder keg.
Completely,
so good.
He's terrific, absolutely. Yeah, like this, we could just do this for half an hour. We could just talk about him.
Yeah, how good D'Onofrio is. Yeah,
yeah.
But it was true though, because he was in season 1. Spoilers if you haven't watched Daredevil, but come on, guys, he's not in season 2 from memory, or at least for the most part, because then we get Punisher and Elektra.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But then they bring Kingpin back for season 3.
Season 3, yeah.
My goodness, that is golden season of TV right there.
Yeah, fully. I mean, with season 1, I was on the fence. I'm pretty sure it was the 4th episode. I watched the first 3 and I thought, okay, kind of enjoying it, but I'm not really hooked. And then I think the 4th one was the Kingpin episode. It's the one where they really start to dig into Fisk, and he's got the guy in the car door, and all of that. And I was just edge of seat, literally edge of seat. It was like I was up out of the chair kind of thing, going, whoa, think,
yeah,
you've got me now.
it's just
totally made it.
Man, it is. That guy, how did he not win an Emmy? Seriously, The Mandalorian is getting 11 Emmy nominations.
Yeah.
How did he not get an Emmy for Best Actor for this man, or at least a nomination? That's highway robbery, that is.
Yeah, fully.
But I was watching some other Marvel stuff.
Mhm.
You've got Disney Plus, eh?
I do.
Yeah, so they released their new Marvel 616 TV series.
Mhm.
It's like a documentary TV series where every episode covers like a different facet of Marvel, as in Marvel behind the scenes,
Mhm.
not
Sure.
the movies. Have you had a chance to watch any of it?
I haven't as yet. No, I found it on the list, and along with many other things, put it on my watch list. Though I did take a skim through the episode synopses and things like this. Cosplay, and there's the one about the Marvel method that's kind of caught my eye. Yeah, it looks like a really interesting, fairly broad set of topics as well.
Yeah, it is. It's really good. So I've watched 3. I think there's 8. So I'm going to make my way through, but I'm sort of watching them out of order because it doesn't matter. And probably the most out of place one when you look at what the episodes are would be the Japanese Spider-Man, because that's super niche.
Right, yeah.
For even for this sort of comic topic,
Hmm.
whereas the other ones focus more on, there's one about writing the Marvel method way with
Yep.
Dan Slott.
Right.
There's one about the artists. There's one about forgotten Marvel C-list type characters. There's the cosplay one, like you said. Then randomly, there's this episode about Japanese Spider-Man, and that's the first one I watched.
Yeah.
And I've actually gone and started watching the Japanese Spider-Man TV show, and
Oh, all right.
that is bonkers, man. Like, oh man, it is brilliant. And now, like, watching that episode of 616 after having watched, I think I've watched 2 episodes so far. It is fantastic. It makes that episode of 616 just even better, because when you're watching that show, you're like, how did this happen? And it answers it. I don't know how factually accurate some of the statements in the 616 episode are, because they basically allude to, and maybe some listeners will know this anyway better than us, they basically allude to having invented Transformers through that TV show, because...
Bold claim.
Yeah, because for those who don't know, Japanese Spider-Man it's not Peter Parker or anything. He's a professional motorbike racer, and he... I can't even remember how he ends up in this cave. I think he gets tangled up with Professor Monster, who's the main bad guy. And this is it's so Power Rangers before Power Rangers was a thing. And he ends up in this cave. He meets this old dude who's been on Earth for 400 years. He's a guy from a place called Planet Spider, because it's on the nose. And Professor Monster had taken over and destroyed Planet Spider, and this guy sort of had escaped and came to Earth because Professor Monster was going to come to Earth and take it over or whatever. And he's been living in this cave for 400 years, which you find out later, I think maybe in episode 2, that time passes differently on Planet Spider, so it's actually only been 20 years, which is still a long time to live in a cave. I'll give them that. And this guy, anyway, he gets injured and he's dying or whatever, this guy who's going to become Spider-Man. And he's saved when this old guy from Planet Spider puts a bracelet on his arm and it injects him with, obviously paid heaps of attention, like spider essence or venom or whatever. I don't want to say venom in relation to Spider-Man. And it basically then gives him these Spider-Man powers. And it is amazing. Like, no pun intended. It is.
This sounds
great.
like a cross between a story that you'd make up and tell your kids when they say, Daddy, read me a bedtime story.
Bad fan fiction.
And a 1940s movie serial.
Oh, dude. I'm watching the whole thing going, if this isn't what inspired Power Rangers, I know you've got Kamen Rider and, all of these other Japanese shows that were around the same time in the 70s.
Sure.
But this is so good. This Spider-Man, I think I sent you the screenshot.
Yep.
When someone asked him in episode 1 who he is, he says, I'm an emissary from hell, Spider-Man. It's like, what?
I remember that from the comics. Oh, yeah.
I know, right? It was amazing. He uses a machine gun, and he has spider powers, though. And I will say, even for a 70s show, it looks pretty cool when he's scaling walls and, walking upside down on the roof and stuff like that. But whenever he's going to use his powers, and he's like, spider string in English, because the whole show's in Japanese. It's subtitled.
Sure.
But when he's in English, breaks out with a spider string, and then he webs, or spider net, and then he, a spider web net comes out and captures the bag. Oh, it's fantastic. I love this show.
I feel like I've missed out. In the 70s, we were watching Spider-Man on the Electric Company.
Yeah, and didn't you have the Amazing Spider-Man?
And then we had the Amazing Spider-Man. We had, the Electric Company got us the excellent comic Spidey Super Stories. Great if you're a kid. Yeah, and the Amazing Spider-Man walking up walls and, amazing web effects and so on and so forth. I kind of wish we'd had the Japanese version now.
Dude, honestly.
Bonkers, as you say.
The thing that made me laugh, though, was when he first, because the guy who gives him the powers then dies, right? And from what I can understand, is reincarnated or turns into a spider. And this spider is always like, what are you doing sleeping? You must become the Spider-Man now. Professor Monster is taking, it's very, very Japanese. And
Spider Yoda?
Yeah. It's a literal
like mentor-ish type thing? Or okay.
And then like to the point where his sister, who he lives with, at some point comments that there's suddenly an influx of spiders in the house. And it's just great. And when he first becomes Spider-Man, like as in the suit Spider-Man, it flies out of his gauntlet or somewhere, and it's just this flat spider suit, and they like superimpose it over and then cut to him in the suit. So it's sort of like a Flash type thing where it comes out of the ring, but it looks super bad. And
Linda Carter at least spun around, and then it was a flash of light. Come on.
Yeah. Oh man, that's so good. And his suit is really good. Like, it's 70s. It's not like what you see now with Tom Holland and stuff, but it is great. It's so good. But when he's swinging on his webs, it's clearly just a big thick rope. Oh, I love it so much.
How in the hell did Marvel ever license that out in the 70s? What were they?
Well, that's the thing.
Imagine the pitch on that.
Yeah, well, I don't want to spoil the episode, but basically what it was in a nutshell was this dude whose name I can't remember, but he basically hosts that episode. He was visiting Japan because his wife was Japanese, and he saw how comics were a big thing with adults as well as kids in Japan. And he went to Marvel and he said, you guys are missing a big market by not having comics over there.
Right.
And I think they told him that they had tried, and the big difference between Japanese comics and American comics, and it probably still holds true now, is depending on what American comics you read, they're mostly story-based, where Japanese comics were more action-based or illustration-based, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So it was more about the visuals. And so I guess they were too boring for 70s Japanese comic readers.
Too much exposition, readers. Maybe too much of the, I guess, old 70s Marvel angst. I suppose that wouldn't play either. So, but then I guess that makes sense.
Go and watch Dragon Ball Z. That drags out for bloody ever. I can't get into any of those shows. So I don't know. So he said that, and so basically, I think Stan Lee was involved and said, right, well, you go over to Japan. You've got the rights. Go and sell it. And he knew that TV shows were big and robots were big and all of this stuff. And he basically was able to do a deal with a company over there. And it's really funny because he says when they finally had an episode ready to screen, Marvel executives all flew over, including Stan Lee, and he played them the episode, and they were just like, what did you do? And he's like, no. And they're like, but this is what the Japanese audience is into, Spider-Man has a car in this. He has a big transforming, that's where I was going before. He has a big transforming robot.
Right.
It's a spaceship called the Marveler, because on the nose. And then it turns into Leopardon. So it basically transforms from a spaceship into a big Voltron-looking robot.
All right.
And that's why the guy says, we did a Transformer before there were Transformers.
Ah, I see. Right.
And so anyway, the executives all looked at it and balked at it. And it was Stan Lee who stood up and goes, this is great. And you've captured exactly what this market wants, and run with it. But then I think it was agreed that it would never leave Japan. It would be just for that audience, because that's what it was made for.
Right.
And then obviously some point in quite recent history, Marvel did put up all the episodes on their website. So I'm hoping now that they've launched 616 and made a big deal about that as the first episode, that means Disney Plus is going to get it.
Ah, that would be pretty cool.
Yeah.
Because there's a ton of Spider-Man stuff on Disney Plus already. Why not add the Japanese Spider-Man?
Yeah, it is bonkers, but it is great.
Nice.
our co-host Clayton from the Heritage Film Club podcast that we also host, I've really got to get him to watch this because him and his kids are so into Power Rangers.
Sounds
I just
perfect, doesn't
can't
it?
see any way they would hate this, except that it's in Japanese, so his kids won't be able to really watch it, I guess, because they're little. But I just want to see his take on it because it's fantastic.
You might become a super fan. I could, from your description, it sounds very much like the kind of stuff that he would love. Sounds brilliant.
Yeah. And now I just want to become a super fan myself, and I want to buy toys and everything because, oh man, I love it. It is the thing that has made me the happiest in quite some time. Family aside, obviously, but
good writer.
I'm talking about in this realm of geek. Nothing has made me happier than watching this.
Now, from that statement, and you want to buy toys and merchandise, now, why do you think Marvel might have surfaced this now?
Exactly. Synergy.
Yeah, I wonder.
Yeah.
Oh, synergy, that's the word for it.
Yep.
Yeah, they've got you.
Yeah, it's like how in our previous episode we did talk about Willow, and we said that was the exact same thing. You know, they put the movie on Disney Plus. They then decide to launch a TV series, which will have people who didn't watch Willow go now and watch Willow in preparation for this new series.
True.
Synergy. See, Disney knows what they're doing, man.
They do.
I love it when a plan comes together.
Yep.
All of the money in the world can't be wrong.
No, yeah, that's right. Yeah, and so other than that, I watched the Cosplay episode last night.
Yep.
Right, so I've never been one to ever want to cosplay myself. I enjoy cosplayers, especially the ones who put all the effort in, and there's some artwork there, man.
Massive admiration for people who put in that effort, and they're just full on.
When you see a good cosplayer, it's amazing,
just brilliant.
But after watching this episode, I've never been closer to wanting to try and cosplay.
Okay.
Then,
all right.
Like, again, it's not something I'm racing out down to the sewing shop. I don't know what you call it, and buying supplies.
Well, so you say.
Yeah, so I say. But it did make me think, if I was going to do it, who would I do?
Here we go. There's the question.
Yeah, so I'm throwing the question to you. And I know you're not.
No. You first. You've opened this door. I want to see where you're going.
So for me,
because I need time to think, because you just dropped this on me.
Well, so for me, I'm not a slender dude. I am your typical prototype geek. Like I am a little overweight, a lot overweight. Illusion broken for the listeners. So at the moment, no, I wouldn't do it. If I had to do it now, I'd be Peter Griffin from Family Guy. To the point where
that's a stretch. He's better looking than you are, obviously. But
yeah, true. Yeah. Dude, I once went when I was in London,
more like Quagmire, which is not a good thing. But anyway.
Giggity. However, when I was in England one time and I went to Hard Rock Cafe, the girl at the door, what do you call them? Maitre d'? I don't know.
Something.
I didn't go.
I don't know. No.
Yeah.
We're geeks.
The person who lets you in. Yeah.
Indeed.
She goes, "Has anyone ever told you look like Peter Griffin from Family Guy?" I was like,
"Oh,
that's rude."
Oh, no tip for you.
But also, I get it. Yeah, but also I get it. Right? I was wearing a white shirt that day too, not green pants, but with the glasses and
a small white dog.
Yeah.
Okay, fair play.
But anyway, but now back to the actual really serious topic: is were I to lose some weight or whatever, and I was in cosplay form, I would never go spandex superhero. It's just not my bag. But you know who I'd want to do? Punisher. Like, kitted out.
Yeah. All in black. Black is slimming.
Yeah. You can have the vest, the Kevlar vest or whatever. You can have the cargo pants and the boots. It's like almost normal looking clothes anyway.
You could. You've got the height for it. You have imposing height.
Yeah. So
you could loom quite effectively.
I could loom.
With cosplay weapons. You could loom.
Well, that's my other thing. The only problem with the way the world is now is that a lot of these conventions don't allow realistic-looking weapons. And if you're going to be the Punisher, you're not going to take in a cable-looking gun or something like that. You need to have...
No, this is true. Hey, look, there is weapon check. They have weapons check at these things, obviously.
Yeah.
But, it's all part of the look.
You can't really pull it off. I mean, yeah, I don't know. And then, there's so many good versions of the Punisher that you've got a lot to choose from as well. The Mitch Gerard Punisher, who actually wore a mask for a little while, I quite liked as well. So there's a lot of options there. And I think that would be my pick if I was going to cosplay. But now I know you're even less enthused about becoming a cosplayer than I am.
Well, yeah, that's kind of, there's one or two various reasons for that. I just want to backtrack a little bit. I was just thinking that you were saying, if you lost some weight or whatever it might be, look, whatever you want to do. Is that the geek version of Beachbody Ready? Are you saying I'm in cosplay body shape. I'm convention cosplay body ready. Screw the beach.
Conbod. Yeah.
Conbod. Look, how's that conbod working out for you?
Yeah. Can we hashtag that? Can we make that
Can you? I think you should make it a thing. I think we should. Yeah, we need to kick something off here.
Yeah. TM it. Yeah.
Conbod ready.
Yep.
Nice.
TM Rambling Geek. Yep. That's ours.
Yeah, fully. Right. You heard it here first.
Man, that was good. I like that. That was a nice spin. All right.
I have my moments.
Stop avoiding the question.
No. So now that I've had time to think about it, yeah, I've never really been one to jump at the idea of cosplaying, though I would like to do it at some point, but it's always kind of thinking that it would be something with a full face mask, partly because I have a beard, which maybe not other people are fond of, but I rather like. And I wouldn't want something I would have to shave the beard off for. And as much as I'd like to think I could pull off an Arrow type look, it's not happening. With the shaved head, maybe Arrow from Dark Knight Returns, going all Frank Miller on it. But
then you're wearing a hood the whole time, though.
Well, yeah, it's kind of Ollie in the monastery type thing. But I digress. What I would like to do, though, which I think would be kind of cool, because I like the idea of the whole mask thing, is a Rorschach or the Question.
Yes, well, basically the same character.
Well, pretty well. No, one's derived from the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why there's a Rorschach, because they couldn't use the Question, or more couldn't use it. So it's a bit of a, it's an easy out, because then you just get to wander around and no one can see your face and it's all behind the mask. But I just think with Rorschach with the grapple gun, can of baked beans, you've got the button with the blood on it, bean juice, human bean juice.
Yeah.
There's all sorts of ways down there you can go. I'm never going to be able to pull off a Thor for the same con body reasons.
Likewise.
It's just not happening. Yeah, spandex would clearly never be my friend. Is it anybody's friend in the real world?
Oh, just to be clear, Brian is a slender geek. He's not an overweight geek, because I think we didn't establish that.
Yeah,
so you're
hence the quagmire.
I'm
the quagmire to your Peter Griffin.
Yes, right.
Kind of thing. Skidding around the idea of being Brian the dog. But yeah, something along those lines would be cool. Or if I thought I could pull it off, I think a Doctor Strange would be great. I've seen a couple of people cosplaying Doctor Strange, and if you get they do the hair and the graying temples and all that sort of thing, and when people pull it off, it's amazing. Massive respect for cosplayers.
Yeah, and speaking of that, because one of the people in the cosplay episode does do Doctor Strange, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you see, okay, first of all, I'm just going to say I love cosplayers, and I love the artistry, and I love seeing what they're able to pull off, right? And as we already know, and many people have posted on Google, sometimes cosplay is even better than what we get in the movies. Apocalypse, right? So,
well done.
But I am not a fan, and this is nothing against people. You can cosplay your heart out, cosplay whoever you want to be. I don't care. But me personally, I really don't like gender swapped cosplays.
Okay.
For some reason, they just irk me. That being said, this woman in the show does cosplay as Doctor Strange.
All right.
That's what got me thinking about it.
Yeah.
That's not really a gender swap, because she's being the male Doctor Strange, like with a mustache and everything.
Sure. Okay.
She's not being Lady Strange or something like that.
Okay.
She does a Lady Loki, but that's not a gender swap, because that's a legit character from the comics.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And a very cool looking one. But anyway, back to Doctor Strange. She does the graying temples, right?
Mm-hmm.
Which is what you mentioned. And as an artist, when I draw Doctor Strange, I do the graying temples.
Yeah.
I posted a picture probably a little while ago now, and someone commented and goes, "You've done his hair wrong. It's not graying temples like he's old. It's graying temples because his hair is strange." I'm like, no, it's not. It's graying temples like Reed Richards.
Yeah, it's just going to say, Mr. Fantastic. Always with the grey.
So am I wrong, or am I right? Because this cosplayer was also graying her temples, as I said.
Because his hair is strange.
Well, yeah, that was just a dumb thing for him to say, but...
I disagree.
Yeah, right.
Definitely disagree.
Now, if you're listening and you have your thoughts on Doctor Strange's grey temples, we'd like to hear them. So pop over to our social media and tell us what you think.
We would.
But in my opinion...
Very keen.
Reed Richards style grey temples.
Yeah, gender swaps, potentially a slippery road to go down. Not seen a great many of them. I have seen at least one guy cosplaying as Harley Quinn, the Daddy's Little Monster version of.
Oh, really? A guy? I've never seen that.
Yeah, didn't quite pull it off. I don't know why. This was at a time where, and this kind of annoyed me as well, in a way. Again, an observer of cosplay, not a cosplayer. When you go to events and there are so many of the same character, it's whatever the current big character is, and everybody is their take on it, but it's all the same. It's not kind of a spin. There's not sort of anything that's just different. They kind of look the same to me, kind of thing. It's when people sort of, I like obscure characters or lesser known characters, if you like. And you can see where people have kind of put their own stamp on something, or gone to that real effort just to be really accurate about a costume, or to find some way to kind of have fun with it. I remember being at Melbourne Supernova, and Melbourne and Supernova in Australia has always been this fantastically open space just for cosplay, and people wander around. It's just the most relaxed atmosphere that you could possibly get into. I remember seeing a couple walking along, and he was dressed as Supergirl and she was dressed as Superman, and it was great. Just watching them walk along, sort of hand in hand type thing. And it's that kind of thing. I like people having fun with their cosplay idea. It's not a gender swap in and of itself. It was just that was their bag for the day. I think good for you.
Yeah, and again, man, cosplay your hearts out. Do what you want. All power to you. It's just personal thing for me. I don't know.
Yeah. Completely. I love how people get into it, and they find lots of different ways to do it. I think in New Zealand I've seen it quite a few times when that sort of is DC Bombshells, that sort of older style of costume, back to 40,
the pinup stuff.
The pinup stuff, yeah. And I've seen lots of people cosplaying that kind of thing here, and that just looks fantastic with the effort that goes in, and it's just so on point. And I've seen the same person doing 2 or 3 different ones, which is very cool.
The ones I don't like the most. Yeah, no, go on. Sorry.
No, far away.
So the ones I don't like the most are ones where it's clearly someone's just gone onto Amazon and bought a Spider-Man costume, or bought a Deadpool, so much Deadpool, or the Harley.
Yeah, kind of my point. The Harley thing, it's Deadpool everywhere.
It's like, but not I, because I couldn't have gone and bought it and pulled it off. But it's just like, I like the ones where the person has actually gone and crafted it and clearly put. If it's not something you could just go and buy, but it looks like you should be able to go and buy it because it's so good. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So
there's the weaponry that people put together. A lot of it from video games and things like that, clearly, and they've made their own weapons out of whatever it is that they make them out of, styrofoam or some such. And you've got cardboard tubes and this, that, and the other, and clearly made. And then the costume to go with it. And it's just the full package. That total immersion. And then just wandering around in it all day and just staying in character. I love it when cosplayers are in character. I've seen that a lot. Seen a lot of Boba Fett's, people like that, sort of Imperial Guards. You go to take the picture and you get the nod. They're all standing there, staying completely in character the whole time. And nice. Stormtroopers taking a shot at me and missing. Just lots of there's people who really get into the whole idea of the character and not just this is what I look like today.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty cool.
Well, what would you say is the best cosplay you've seen from memory?
Oh, that's a tough one.
Because when I was in London at London Super Comic Con,
you must have seen some amazing ones there.
There were some good ones, but one guy was dressed as Galactus, and that was cool. But what made it cooler is when you went up close to him, he had a little mini Silver Surfer, like a figure, on his shoulder.
Oh, that's brilliant. Scale.
So that gave it the scale. Yeah. And was also, man, that is such a cool idea. Like,
oh, that's fantastic.
Literally, no pun intended.
Sorry. Yeah.
It was very cool, man. It was just such a cool little detail.
Yeah.
Like literally, and
that's brilliant.
Icing on
the attention to it. I did see a guy in Melbourne once, and he was in the Hulkbuster suit.
Ah, nice.
He'd done a Hulkbuster suit, and it was big. It was really good.
Yeah, I think we got one of those in London too.
That was really impressive. And then also one of my favourites ever was at the same con, and it was a guy he was wearing a bucket on his head, and he'd cut it out around eye holes and the proper shape for it, and he'd written across the top of it, "Cheap Neato."
Nice.
Which was just it was a genius idea.
I do like those things where you can take you can do a play on it, but sort of be self-deprecating about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I like that too.
Yeah, and he was just having fun with it, which again was the best part of it. It's the whole idea of you just that's your thing for today. Who are you today? I'm going to be this. Just brilliant.
Yeah.
Love it.
And not to keep rambling on about cosplay, but one last thing is there's this guy, I'm probably going to butcher his name, but you've probably seen it online, and this guy is just, it's like you've picked the character to cosplay, and now you can't cosplay anything else because you're so good at that that's all anyone's going to want to see.
Cosplay typecasting? Really?
Yeah, like this guy, I'm going to butcher his name, as I said, Anthony Mizziano, maybe.
Right.
He does Joker.
Right.
And Google it, because that dude is such a good Joker.
Which Joker?
Seems to be more like the Brian Bolland Joker.
Oh.
He does very high quality photo shoots.
Yeah.
With his cosplay. So he's recreated the Killing Joke cover with the camera.
With the camera, yeah.
Yeah. And he's done, I think, is it also Killing Joke? The one where he's got his hands through his hair and it's just got ha 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 behind him. Yeah. He's done that one. And then he's done another one, which I think is a Brian Bolland cover as well, which is Joker sitting in a chair, and it's got all the heroes, their heads mounted on the wall behind him with Joker smiles.
Nice.
So obviously he had to get a lot of friends in on that one.
Sure, yeah.
But honestly, I'll flick it to you after we go off the recording, because man, you just wouldn't want that guy to cosplay as anyone else, because he's just perfect.
Just keep doing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll clearly never reach those heights, you and I, but I think there's an implied challenge in here somewhere. I think at some point we've got to, when we're con body ready, I think we really need to get out there.
Yeah, so if you're going to be Rorschach or Question, then I'd rather try and find something that sort of matches that as well.
I'm not suggesting that you go. I'm not suggesting that you go Dr. Manhattan, the comedian. That would do you.
Yeah, no. The comedian would be not too dissimilar from the Punisher.
To the Punisher, yeah. You could pull that off. Yeah, what do you look like smoking a cigar?
Oh, everyone looks good smoking a cigar.
Oh, there you go. So smoking isn't cool, kids.
No, I'd have to shave my beard and have a moustache, and I'm very anti just a moustache. But for that,
it would be worth it.
Just for the day,
yeah.
And then I could just shave it off and be clean shaven the day after.
Yeah.
I think because I'm so not a cosplay person, and maybe possibly want to just experiment one time with it, I sort of want a costume that you can easily convert into being normal clothes. So when you leave the convention, or you're coming to the convention, you don't necessarily have to come in full costume or go home in full costume.
Right.
Because undoubtedly after the convention, you're going to stop somewhere like McDonald's or something. And I don't want to walk in there as the Punisher.
No, true. Next thing you know, the police are there. And
yeah. So I want an easily convertible. So with the Punisher, you just take off the vest, take off the top, put another T-shirt on. You've got boots and cargo pants. Who cares? You're, whatever. Comedian, you could probably do that as well.
You could.
So,
you could do that.
Yeah. And I'm sure we could rope Clayton into doing something. So, hey,
I think he'd be all over it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Watch this space.
Yeah. And if we ever do it, and we'll mention on the podcast if we're actually going to do it, and then we'll report back how it goes.
Then we'll post pictures because I'll have a mask on.
Yeah, true.
Great.
So I think this is not going to be happening anytime soon because we have to get con bod ready.
Con bod ready. It's a thing. Tell your friends. You heard it here first.
Hashtag
yes.
con bod. Yeah. Right, cool. So, that was way bigger ramble about cosplay than I ever expected.
It's partly Japanese Spider-Man's fault and Marvel 616.
Oh, that was so good.
Watch that on Disney Plus.
Japanese Spider-Man is so good. So, and so just very quickly, because that cosplay one took ages, but the Marvel Method one is really good because it's Dan Slott, and I love Dan Slott so much. And I wasn't angry when he killed Peter Parker. Spoilers for Amazing Spider-Man 700.
Oh, it was years ago.
Yeah, I know, right? But come on, that led to one of the coolest things, which was Superior Spider-Man.
Great series.
And even cooler, and unfortunately didn't last past, I think, 12 issues, Superior Foes of Spider-Man, which was a fantastic series.
Underappreciated.
So underappreciated. And I met Dan Slott at London Comic Con.
Go on, rub it in.
The second one. No, because he was at the second one, because the first one they had Stan Lee, right? And I was like, wow, you opened big because you have to. How do you follow this up?
Mm-hmm.
And of course, people are going to be like, Dan Slott is not that big a follow-up to Stan Lee, but come on, man. At the time, this is when Amazing
he was the
700
writer.
Had come out. He was the writer of Marvel.
Yep.
And this dude, he had a Q. The Q got cut off, and a Q for the Q formed. naturally by fans just waiting.
Okay.
And someone commented there going, this would never happen at American Con because people would just be like kicked out of the queue and they'd just go on about their day. No one's going to hang around and wait.
Really?
But, I don't know because I haven't been to one, but that's what someone said.
Sure.
And it was just like they were trying to sort of say how the British fans are so polite because now they're forming a queue to get in the queue to see Dan Slott. And we got in that queue and that dude was so nice to his fans. Like when I got up to the front and got to meet him, he was like, do you want some gum? Because he was just offering gum to people because they'd been waiting so long and he just felt bad. And I was like, no, you can have it's fine.
Wow.
I should have taken Dan Slott's gum, but not his gum. Like he had gum in a packet.
Yeah, okay. Then security get called, it becomes a weird thing, and
Yeah. And then I was saying how much I loved Superior Spider-Man, and I think it was up to, I don't even know what issue, but the cover was the one with, it looked like a brain or something.
Okay.
For Spider-Man. And he said, if you like it so far, wait till issue, whatever number it was. And he goes, that one you'll like. And I was like, dude, you can't do that. Just leave us hanging for however many months now. But man, that he was one of my favorite ever people I got to meet.
Nice.
At a comic convention. So when there was an episode focused on him, for the most part anyway, and him being one of the very last people who still uses the Marvel method of writing, I had to watch it. And it was, he's, just watch it, man. He is the most, you just want to be his friend. Like he's just such a nice dude.
They say never meet your heroes because they'll disappoint you, but sometimes not true. Dan Slott, follow up the Jim Lee experience. So nice.
Yeah, him, Jim Lee, Dave Gibbons,
Dave,
and John Wagner, co-creator of Judge Dredd.
Brilliant.
Was fantastic.
I haven't got a list like that, but you know me again, Perez. Just perfect fan moments. Brilliant.
Yeah, well, that one for you, that would be hard to beat because that's your guy.
Total pinnacle. Yeah, and it was great. Marv Wolfman at the same time, just fantastic.
My biggest regret is I did get a commission from George Perez at London Comic Con, but I didn't get to meet him because one of the dudes, if you guys who are listening go to conventions, do not be the guy who takes a suitcase full of comics to get signed. Don't be that douchebag, man.
Don't do that.
This is a public service announcement. Don't be a douche.
Now we know.
And knowing is half the battle.
So this guy was up there and he was talking Perez's ear off. Perez is sitting there doing commissions and chatting and stuff, but he's one of those guys who can multitask, unlike, say, Brian Bolland, who the line stops because he's drawing and the line takes forever. But Perez sort of cranks it out. And so because this guy was chatting his ear off, his helper came to me and said, are you wanting a commission? What do you want? I'll add it to the list. Yeah. And that's how it went down. And then I came back and picked it up. I think I got to say a quick thank you for the commission.
Right.
But that was it. And it's a big regret.
No conversation.
It's not going to, there's not going to be another
George
chance.
Is retired. He doesn't do it anymore.
Yeah, it's a shame. But I still got the commission and it's one of my favorite things I own. It is
a great Wonder Woman. My Perez, my George Perez Wonder Woman commission is one of my prized possessions. That and the picture of me and him, just brilliant. I remember when that was announced from being in New Zealand. It was announced that he and Marv were going to Melbourne. The first thought was, I'll swim it. I'll swim it if I have to.
Yeah,
had to be done.
That's so good.
Yeah,
I think that my Bruce Timm Batman.
Yeah,
because Bruce Timm has a special place in my heart forever, and probably actually you got me the Stan Lee autograph not long before he died. Actually, well, it was what, 2 years or something. But,
it was about 2 years here one of the last appearances. Yeah. We each got our Stan Lee autograph, so we feel very very lucky.
Yeah, because I had my photo with him at that London Comic Con.
You did. You went up on me there for sure.
Yeah, that was a shuffle through. That was like, stand there, have your photo, say hello, whatever, and then go. And at that time, because I hadn't bought it, because you had to buy tokens, and you could get one thing signed, and it was super expensive, and you could have a photo. So I opted to get the photo, and I'm glad I did because you ended up getting me the autograph.
So you get the pair.
So now I ended up.
You get two things.
Yeah. And so I was that autograph hangs proudly on my wall as well, to the point where I sold something online the other day, That was sadly my Jim Lee DC Cover Girls Wonder Woman statue.
No.
I parted ways, but a guy came and picked it up. He was a very big comic fan, and he's got a lot of cool stuff that might be coming my way at some point. We had a big, it was like an hour-long chat in my garage. And he saw the Stan Lee and he said, "Oh, that's a nice print." I said, "Oh, no, it's not. It's not. It's a real autograph." And he was like, "Oh, my gosh, you got to meet him?" I said, "Well, I did, not at that point, but at another point." And yeah, I mean, that's a happy thing. I mean, how often can you meet someone who built this whole thing we talk about?
Legend. It's not even.
You can't. I mean,
there's not even a word for it.
No,
I can't think of a word.
Gone.
Yeah.
Steve Ditko. All these people who helped build it. Stanley was really the last pillar.
He was the last of the real pioneers. The real the ones not even just changed the game, but made the game.
Yeah.
I would put Eisner in there as well. But obviously right up there with the Kirbys and so forth. But Stan and Jack.
Yeah, and we will say co-creator because we give credit where credit's due.
Because it's true.
Yeah, and especially with the Marvel Method stuff, he absolutely is a co-creator because without Jack Kirby, Steve Ditko, and all of those guys, these characters are not what they are. It's like Bill Finger with Batman.
Yeah.
Batman isn't what Batman is.
You need all those contributions, absolutely. Yeah.
Yep.
It's not just
the only one.
The other.
Yeah, the only one you can really give sole credit to is Siegel and Schuster.
Yeah, Superman was
Superman.
Yeah,
because that was all them.
It was. Yeah.
Yeah, don't know how we rambled. Oh, because of Dan Slott. Yeah, I love Dan Slott. So anyway.
Yeah, if you get a chance to meet your heroes. On the flip side of that, don't be a dick and take every comic you own to get signed. G.I. Joe!
Yeah, and don't meet David Lloyd. He was sorry, but he was
right.
He let me down.
That's one guest down for this podcast.
Oh, and Neil Adams. Sorry. Sorry, I'm just going to say it straight up. Not a fan. Yeah, so anyway, those are the 3 episodes I've watched of the 8, and I'd highly recommend all of them, and I can't wait to watch the other 5. I'm sure they're going to be awesome as well.
Well, it was on my watch list, but you sold me anyway. I'm going to have to go and have a look. Particularly, I'm going to start with Japanese Spider-Man. I'm going to start with Bonkers and work my way down.
Oh, yeah. Go up, start with that high, very high, and everything will seem tame.
See where we go from there.
Yeah. Oh, man. But yeah, so that was good. Anything else you want to... I had some more stuff on my list, but we've been going a long time. And
I think we're out of steam. It'll keep for another day.
It'll keep for another day.
This was a good ramble.
All right. It was, man. I really enjoyed it.
Well, it was a good ramble from here. I hope it was a good ramble to listen to. Let us know.
Yeah, let us know. So you can do that actually by following us on social media. So we are on Instagram and Facebook at TRG Podcast. We are now on Twitter, but it's a different handle because someone took our handle already. We tried to take their handle technically.
Yeah, okay, fair
so
enough.
we are, so on Twitter we are...
We're Kiwis, we're nice. We let that kind of thing go.
Yeah. So it's at The Rambling Geek on Twitter. And... Is that all the places we're at? I think that's all the places we're at. So please go and follow us. Subscribe for free to our podcast. Tell your friends because that's how you help us grow for free. Yeah, and leave us your thoughts on the social medias.
And hey, if you can't get the image of Peter Griffin and Quagmire out of your head in cosplay, if you've got any suggestions, fire them at us.
Now, we want suggestions that are not spandex superheroes, remember?
No spandex.
Brian needs a mask, preferably full face, I guess.
True. Some people would say that day to day, but yes, particularly for cosplay.
Oh, nice. So yeah, leave us your thoughts. And leave us your thoughts on who you would cosplay as. Or send us some links to your cosplays, and we might be able to feature them in a post on our website. And that's the other link I forgot. You can go to our website as well. It's a very convoluted link because we're doing it for free, but I'll put the link in our episode notes and you can jump on over there. We're going to unveil our top 5 Wonder Woman artists, and otherwise you can keep up with pop culture news that we find interesting and want to regurgitate onto our website for your
entertainment,
reading pleasure. I don't know what I was going to say. Yeah, so I'll clean up this outro because it was all over the place. It was way too rambly.
It's a ramble.
It is a ramble.
You said it right at the beginning. We deliver.
As we say, we are the podcast that does what it says on the tin. So, until next time, thanks for listening, and we are out.
Loved what you've heard on this week's episode? Well, the answer is simple. It would mean the world to us if you could head over to iTunes and leave us a 5-star review and feedback. Spreading the word really is the best way to grow our podcast and achieve even greater things. Thank you.
That's the end. Thanks for listening.